welcome to Solve This Murder. I'm your detective, Bill.
And I'm your crime scene criminal and witnesses, Dani. We're on part 2 of the $1 million bond robbery.
In part 1, we discovered that $1 million in bonds had been stolen while on a boat on its way to New York.
The case the bonds were in had been locked, but the lock had been scratched and tampered with, and also opened with a key.
I'd already talked to one of the key holders, Phil Ridgway, but now I'm on my way to the London and Scottish Bank to investigate the other 2 key holders. All right, Dani. I've got to talk to some general managers.
Great. You go into the bank, you flash your...
They know me.
Not badge, yeah. And you make your way up to the executive offices of Misters Vavasour and Shaw.
Yep, Vavasour and Shaw.
Mm-hmm. They are both pretty standard. Older white men. Vavasour has a white beard. Shaw, clean-shaven. That's about all we've got as descriptions of them.
That's
yeah,
fine.
2 old, very standard, not particularly interesting men.
All right. I can probably talk to them together.
Yeah, absolutely. They both come towards you. They both shake your hand.
At the same time, in perfect sync. I say, oh, look, gentlemen, I
picture Vavasour as being the tall one. And Shaw being the short one.
That's 100% true. Yeah. Vavasour is taller, thinner, he has a moustache.
Okay.
Shaw is smaller, not fat by any means, but he's stockier.
Yeah.
And is bald.
I agree. He feels bald.
Yeah. Their names are Vavasour and Shaw. We know what they look like. I say, gentlemen, look, I'm just here. I'm investigating currently the robbery of your bonds. The $1 million worth of bonds.
Yes. That's Vavasour. Shaw can be Scottish.
All right, sure.
Oh, why have I done this to myself?
You did this to yourself.
Yes, of course. It's a very bad business, isn't it?
Oh, terribly, terribly so. Now, obviously, I know there's...
We've already talked to Scotland Yard, and Inspector McNeil, I believe, is looking into it. He seemed very competent. You're adding to this investigation?
Inspector McNeil. Investigating.
You're aware of the name McNeil.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, obviously there is a Scotland Yard, a police investigation going on, but we've worked with the police before, and we like to do an independent investigation. I understand this might be a bother for you. I'm probably going to ask you questions that have already been asked to you and answered, but it's important that I get my information from the original source and not from the police reports.
He looks at the clocks on the wall, and, there are like 5 for a bunch of different time zones. He goes, yes. Yes, of course. We want to do everything for my nephew. We'll make this happen.
Yes,
briefly, but whatever you need.
Look, this is a 20-minute conversation. It might save you $1 million.
That would be great.
Now, I'd like to get a bit more information about the whereabouts and the movements of this case.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand that the 3 of you, yourself, Mr. Shaw here, and your nephew...
Aye.
He was there, packed the money into a portmanteau.
Aye, that's true. So they come in a package already, like in a big prism of bonds.
Sure.
Wrapped them all up, put them in a case, locked up the case, put them in another trunk, off he goes.
Lovely. And he mentioned that there was a unique lock on this portmanteau.
Aye, I ordered it myself.
Wonderful. Also, you're Scottish. Could you say purple burglar alarm? So this unique lock on the case. Could you tell me more about this? You worked with the Hub to get it made?
Yes, wouldn't trust any clerks or anything like that. Wouldn't trust a normal one. So, went to Hubs myself, got it all made, watched the whole process happen, ordered 3 keys, no more, no less.
These 3 keys, you had one, Vavasour had one, and Mr. Ridgway had one.
That's right.
That's the first person I talked to last episode for people who I forgot that his name was Ridgway. I might not even have been his name. No, it was. I hate to impose. Could I see the keys?
Shaw looks at Vavasour, who ponders for a moment and goes, yes, I'm pretty sure they've just been in the safe where we placed them on the 23rd after all this happened. Of course you haven't. He was turning to Shaw as if to ask, you haven't done anything, and then immediately thought better of it.
Sure.
And said, no, yes, of course you wouldn't have had any time to, Yes, okay, let's go.
Let's take me
Check
to the
out the
safe.
safe. You will have to stay out of the room while we open it, of course.
What, so I don't see the combination?
Yes.
I'll just turn my back.
You might hear it. We have to be very careful of these things in a bank.
Right.
Okay, they do that. They open it and say, okay, you can come in now.
I come in.
See? 2 keys.
There are 2 keys there?
Yeah,
Do they look like the key Phil showed me?
absolutely.
Because ideally they should be identical, right?
Yes.
They are identical, by at least to my untrained eye?
Uh-huh.
The keys are here. Unless one of them just put one back. Because it was like, get out of the room while we open the safe. Could have taken it out of his pocket, put it into the safe, and be like, here it is. So one of them may have had the
They both vouch for each other that did not happen.
All right. Okay, I'll trust him. But I'm just saying, everybody, it was a possibility. Be aware that I'm aware of the possibility of sleight of hand. All right, the keys are in the safe. And he ordered 3 keys.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he says. I'm assuming if I ask, he wouldn't be able to produce that order, like a receipt from Hub.
I don't have one on hand, but you can ask them there. You can ask Mr. Hub himself.
I might do so.
Yes.
If I followed up
and
with Hub.
you'll know that I only knew him by reputation. We were not friends or anything. Oh, sorry.
Okay, were they friends? Danny, why would he say this?
No, I'm just letting you know that his word is trustworthy.
Sorry, are you sick?
No, not anymore. I'm totally better.
No, like obviously you're
Mr.
sick.
Vavasour puts a hand on his shoulder and a bit of a, oh, you don't need to be so brave look. He says, he's been out with bronchitis for the last 2 weeks. Very sad. He's such a trooper.
Oh, no.
At our age, it's nothing to be trifled with.
Oh, of course. When did the sickness start? This has to be relevant or you would not be mentioning how sick he is. At first I thought Danny was just coughing, but it was too consistent. When did this start? When did you get sick?
Sure. He gives a bit of a look and says, oh, yes, yeah, I suppose it has been a couple of weeks now. Oh, hard to say, but Vavasour, he is on top of it. He goes, all right, now hold on. I've got the ins and outs, the, what do you call it? The coming in of the building and out of the building records.
The clock-ins,
yes,
clock-outs,
that's exactly it. Let me take a look. Yes, okay, so the 23rd was when all of this business went down. And yes, on the 23rd, in fact, quite soon after we did all of this, that was when you started feeling ill. You were getting a bit pale, and I suggested maybe you should take the rest of the day off, and you did, and haven't seen you until yesterday.
Okay, I'm not talking to them anymore. Cut those strings. So Shaw went out sick the day that all of this happened.
Turned out to be bronchitis.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nasty.
He may well have left early enough to get onto the boat, but that doesn't... I don't know. I have to go and talk to the shipyard people probably. But that's clear. Clearly that is something. How did you sound over the phone when you called? Did you order these over the phone?
No.
You ordered them in person?
Of course. That was fine then.
You were fine then when you did the ordering?
Yes, of course. That would have been, a couple of days before all this happened. We were getting things ready.
Then, okay, that's because I was thinking maybe there's some weird voice thing, like maybe someone called Hub to be like, actually, could you give me a 4th key, please? I'd love a 4th key.
You think anyone can just imitate this voice?
I do, especially, but the fact that you're sick
This
is a
is
big part of it.
insulting.
You're so sick. He said he didn't know who Hub was.
He said
by reputation?
Yeah.
So maybe he turned up to Hub's office and a random criminal was like, I'm Hub. I'll make the keys for you. Yuck. I should go to Hub. I don't know if they went to Hub in this story, but I should talk to Hub.
You're right, Hub is not in this story, but sure, we can make a Hub. You can't get an in-person meeting with him,
I'll
of
call
course
Hub.
not. Yeah, you can call Hub.
Okay, hold on. What the hell is happening? So he had bronchitis.
I'll be here.
Sorry, what was that?
I'll be here.
Oh, I'll be here.
Who's speaking?
It's me, Hastings. Hello.
Oh, Hastings, gotcha. Hello, I've heard all about you,
Oh, I've
and
heard
I
about
hear
you.
you want to know about an order I filled.
I do. Did you fill an order for Mr. Shaw from the London and Scottish Bank?
Absa-dippy-dozy, I did.
Wonderful. I like this character work. When you did that order, could you tell me, I'm not going to prompt you, tell me what the order was. What did they order?
It was one fancy specialised lock, untamperable, like all mine is, and 3 keys to go for it.
Now, you say 3 keys.
Are you insulting me?
I'm not. I'm merely asking for clarification. Do you mean the keys themselves were 3?
T-H-R-E-E.
T-H-R-E-E. Yeah, it does spell 3. Okay. So you made 3, and you made 3 keys, obviously. 'cause that was the order.
Absolutely, that was the order. That's what I did.
Did someone pick them up? Did you deliver them to the office?
No, Mr. Shaw was there the entire time.
Oh, so he just hung around while you made 3 keys and all that?
Yes, he said that he didn't want any interim people. That was important business.
Okay, that does sound pretty bloody secure. Did you give him bronchitis or something?
I mean, I don't have bronchitis. Bronchitis?
What day was this? Was this on the 23rd? Did you make
No,
them
that
day?
would have been
Would
too
it like
early.
a
I'm
little bit
thinking
earlier?
some amount of days before that, but not many. Probably the 20th or 21st or so.
This is so weird. Why does he have bronchitis? Why would you tell me this? Okay, I'm going to ignore it until it's relevant. I'm going to wait. Maybe I'll find out later. They'll be like, Johnny Coughsville came on and was coughing everywhere. I'll be like, that's it. That's Mr. Shaw.
All right, sorry, I gotta go. A multi-millionaire is looking for some special safes to be put in. It's a big deal. See ya.
Bye. Okay, so the 3 keys checks out so far. And the keys were there. I found all 3 keys. I haven't seen a 4th. One of them could have sleight of handed it into there, but that's fine. Also, the day they locked the keys away and got on the boat and all that jazz.
Instantly, they wouldn't have needed to sleight of hands it in. They work there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, one of them could have put it back. But I do know where all 3, like either they're guilty.
Mm-hmm.
If it was one of these keys,
Sure.
it's like either they're guilty or, it wasn't the keys.
Later key
right?
shenanigans.
Exactly. But it's not like, if it hadn't been there, it would have been like, oh no, let's find out who stole this from your safe.
Mm-hmm.
But it is there, so they could have done it, but it changes the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
This 3 keys thing seems to check out so far. Shaw got bronchitis and went home sick on the 23rd, which I believe was the day the ship left. They put the keys away, they went off, and then Shaw was like, bye everybody. Do I know if the ship had left by that point, or whether he could have still ostensibly gotten onto the boat?
The ship left in the morning.
Okay, so he said it wasn't until after lunch.
Yes.
That's interesting. I wonder how he got bronchitis. Is bronchitis like a if I have
It's
bronchitis
like
and
temporary
I cough,
asthma.
But if I have bronchitis
Mhm.
and I go near someone, they don't get bronchitis. It's not a transferable disease. It's an inflammation of your own lungs.
I assume it's caused by bacteria or something.
Okay, so it could be an infection. Like he may have been
More
near...
Googling.
No, it's probably fine. I don't know. And look, I can only know what they knew about bronchitis in the 20s. So can you
That's
Google?
true.
Can you Google what did we know about bronchitis in the 1920s? Please don't. Please don't.
Viral infections.
Okay, it's a viral infection, so it could be something you picked up. If I see somebody else with bronchitis, maybe I know they were associating with each other. Did anyone else have bronchitis so far?
Not that you've noticed,
Right.
but again,
Poirot's sick!
oh no,
Uh,
he caught it 2 weeks ago. If there was someone else with bronchitis,
that haven't done, whatever.
yeah,
Okay. Well then, it seems like I poked and prodded everything in the bank that needs poking and prodding. It's not like I can look at security footage or anything like that. It's 1920. So, I think I go to the shipyards and I talk to the shipmen.
sounds good.
Or shipwomen. The ship people is who I'll talk to. Talk to the shippos.
All right, you head to the shipyard, and the person running the docks at this point gives you a nod as you approach his booth.
Yeah, here's the dock booth. Look, I'm looking for some information about a ship that left port on the 23rd, heading to New York.
Oh yes, that sounds like the Olympia. The 23rd.
Olympia.
Yes,
All
the
right,
Olympia.
I have heard that before.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the passenger list on that ship, or who was getting on, off, things like that?
Oh, I suppose yes. I would need to ask some of the stewards. This would be much easier if you waited a few more days.
Is it coming back?
Yes, it's due back on Tuesday, but that's okay. Hold on. He scrambles around for a while.
Should I just wait for the
some
ship
time.
to get back and talk to the actual people on the ship?
You could do that as well. All right, see ya.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do
All right,
that.
fast forward to Tuesday.
I'll wait till Tuesday.
Great. Comes back.
Let's chat with the actual
And
people on the ship.
the master steward on the ship, he has the passenger list in full.
Great.
Oh, yes, what would you like to know?
Was there a man on the ship
Yes, several.
with a big old giant trunk?
Yes, several.
Who complained about things had been stolen from his room.
Oh, yes, we're talking about that part.
Yeah,
yes, that was very unfortunate. That was quite a dampener on this part of the trip.
Yeah. Can you solve this mystery for me?
Yes, I'd
Cool.
love
Who did
to.
it? Who did the crime?
Okay, so what do we know so far, and what other information regarding the boat, vis-a-vis the boat,
Yes.
would help?
Well, just tell me. I don't need to lead this investigation. You tell me what you know. I'll ask you questions.
Well, I can tell you most certainly how the investigation went. It was only a couple of hours before we were due to hit New York when this young fellow raised the alert. Raised the alarm, saying that something had been stolen from him.
The purple burglar alarm, yep.
What?
Oh, sorry, you're not Scottish. It's all right.
And we at first had no idea what he was talking about, and eventually he told us that it was a matter of some importance and quite a significant package, something to do with these bonds. I have since heard the news.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And so, seeing the seriousness of it, we put the whole boat on lockdown for that time. So we did a thorough investigation, all of the rooms, and we couldn't find anything such that he described. We had no choice but to arrive at our destination, but before anyone disembarked, they were searched.
Now, you say before anyone disembarked they were searched.
Yes.
Are you including only passengers, or were you searching crew members as well?
Oh, absolutely everyone. This was apparently incredibly serious. Now, it wasn't necessarily just me. I believe port authorities came aboard as well, and they were part of it.
Port authorities. Now, did you recognize these port authorities? Are they people that you have dealt with? You could say for sure. As if I put a gun to you. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put a gun to your head.
Oh, my.
Will you say with certainty that you knew these port authority members?
I can't say with all certainty,
Okay.
no.
I'll put the gun down.
Thank you. Yes, to my knowledge, it was all fine. Some of the official tugboats came alongside, and they were.
Come on, man.
They were, all proper.
Port authority came on. Tugboats.
Yeah, so they even came in by boat. We hadn't put the ramp down or anything yet. If there were any fakes aboard, they would have had to fool the entire authority, be wearing uniform, and have bluffed their way past other members of the authority so that they could get aboard onto the boat.
Yes, unless all of the authorities in on it, that's probably unlikely.
It seems unlikely. And look, I can guarantee we didn't find anything of the sort hidden aboard, and after all the passengers have gotten off, we were going to do another thorough search again, and yet we'd barely even started before we started hearing the reports that they were being sold.
I'm assuming these tugboats and things that came up beside your ship.
All above board.
But they would have returned to port before you did, right? Led the way, left your ship, gone back on board.
Pretty similar timing. We were quite close. It wasn't that big a difference.
I'm assuming there's obviously ways to, like, if you've got a cabin, or if you're a staff member, maybe in the kitchen or whatever, presumably you have, like, windows in this boat. You could open them up, drop a package out the window.
Oh, I'm sure, to be lost at sea, I suppose.
Or throw it into a little boat that's come up beside the boat. But they seem to be Port Authority boats. But again, they are little boats that came up beside your boat.
It would be quite a remarkable act of coincidence.
Do you have all of your lifeboats still?
They do a quick check, and yep, all seems
okay. Lifeboats all
seems
accounted for. I'm trying to listen, people at home. I'm trying to ask all the questions that you're asking right now. You're screaming. You're saying,
"You're doing great,
you idiot! Why didn't you ask about the lifeboats?" Well, I did, so you can shut up. Okay. So the lifeboats are all still accounted for. I'm just trying to find some kind of smoking gun. And so all the passengers were searched on their way off. And nobody had the bonds, right? You didn't find them then. I didn't ask, but I assumed. We
quite an
all the
omission.
passengers. Yeah, you're going to ask me a follow-up question? So they searched all the passengers on their way out. Didn't find any of these things. The Port Authority came up with tugboats. But it was like a full, proper port authority. It would have had to be like dozens of fake people, all who stole uniforms and ships and things like that. So it feels like that would be a very hard thing to pull off if you were a fake Port
very
Authority
much
member.
so.
Did any crew from the boat leave on, like, to get off at New York? Presumably they did.
Of course, there are some transfers over. There's a brief stopping period.
Was there any-
Everyone would have gotten off.
Obviously, the passengers were all new people, right?
Yes.
Were there any new crew members for this stint? Anyone you hired on board just for this?
No, this is a very regular route.
Did you find a Scottish man with bronchitis anywhere on board? Did you hear any coughing?
Well, we're at sea. There's always coughing, spitting, cursing, all of that sort of thing.
Sailors.
No, none of that occurs to me. I mean, obviously, I suppose there were some Scottish passengers, but nothing that stands out, and I haven't heard anything about a bronchitis outbreak.
No. Did you find anything at odd when you were searching the rooms? You said you did a thorough search of all the rooms. Was there anything noteworthy? Anything that you couldn't explain as just that's someone's stuff?
There's a lot of rooms. Maybe could we narrow it down slightly?
No. Tell me every single room.
No.
What about the rooms? How is Phil Ridgway's room laid out? Does it have a balcony? That wouldn't make sense. Does it just have a little window out to sea? Anything like that?
Yes, sure. It was a relatively expensive room. It gets a window.
Could that window be open from the inside?
Yes, it could open.
Interesting. So he could have... Did you check outside the boat when you were doing your search? As in out
we
the
were
windows
at
or anything?
sea.
Yeah, but say you had fishing wire. You could hang something out the window for a while.
No, I don't recall checking for fishing wire.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know if anyone thought to do that.
I don't know. It feels like maybe you could have... Like, you wouldn't throw... Though they were sealed. Would I know if you took a sealed thing of bonds out of a portmanteau, but leaving them in that seal? You mentioned a few times they were sealed to that. Surely I could throw them into the ocean without them getting water damaged? It wouldn't have been a plastic seal, obviously, because it was bloody 1923. That we don't have plastic yet.
Yeah, it would be a bit of a worry about the reliability of
You're
that.
Right.
And
I was picturing them like vacuum sealed in plastic. It's like it doesn't exist yet. We do not have that technology.
Yeah, it's probably paper.
Yeah, it's probably just a paper seal. Man, isn't that wild? Plastic, sometimes you forget that we didn't have it until like the 50s?
Yeah, something like that.
At least in any kind of like normal use. That's
ridiculous.
Wild. I still remember that reading a John Wyndham novel where the guy like comes back from the future.
Is it John Wyndham?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting which ones are John Wyndham's, which ones are Philip K. Dick's.
And he's like, you have to invest in plastics. Plastics. It's like, what the hell's a plastic, idiot? That's nothing, not even a word. He's like, please remember, invest in plastic.
That's so good.
Oh,
he loved his plastic.
He was a plastic man. He's like, I've come from the distant future, 1955.
If only he knew what we do.
That plastics are real cool. Invest in microplastics. They'll be everywhere. They'll be all over the place. Everybody's going to have microplastics in them. Okay. Interesting. I mean, not interesting. I know nothing. This is not... Okay. Everybody was searched. The rooms were all searched. The windows can open. It's possible things could have been thrown outside, but they couldn't have survived in the vastness of the ocean.
You did sound like you were going to ask a potentially pertinent question at some point in there and then cut yourself off.
About the open windows? About the balconies?
Oh, right before you asked about the balcony.
The layout of his room. Is there anything about... Did they have bathrooms or anything like that?
No, these ones did not have adjoining bathrooms. These ones are just several cabins. Look, they're nicely sized cabins, but just all cabins in a row, and then each hallway has a bathroom that can be shared.
Okay, shared bathroom, cabins in a row in a hallway. You search those cabins. There's got to be something specific to ask about this searching process, or what was found, or where it was found, or how these things were laid out. We don't think the Port Authority people were fake. They were real Port Authority people. How could you get these bonds off the boat? Unless they never made it onto the boat, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. Were there any other boats that were doing the same journey, but faster?
Yes.
Oh, wait, there was?
I mean, yes. Like, the Olympia is a...
Hey, everybody, if there's an answer, it means I'm right. Because Danny wouldn't be so sure if there wasn't an answer in the book. It's got to be relevant. What was the boat?
Oh, yes, the Olympia is a spectacular vessel, but it doesn't hold the Atlantic record. That's the Gigantic.
And it left the same day?
The same day, but arrives a day earlier.
Come on. Because half an hour is not fast enough to get, even if you got them off the boat, that's a wickedly quick time to get those sold. Like, unless you wrap them up as ham, take them to people as ham, and say, give me 10,000 ham clams for this ham. Like, half an hour is so quick. If it got there a day earlier and started selling, maybe they waited for the boat to arrive before they decided to sell them. In fact, was your boat slightly late coming in or anything like that? Was it scheduled to come in at a certain time but came in slightly late because of this searching delay?
I suppose the searching probably delayed it.
Right. So ideally they want it to be like an hour or two after it arrived, but it ended up being half an hour, which is too suspiciously quick. They wanted to pretend it was never on the Gigantic in the first place. So the bonds never made it onto the boat. How were the bonds sealed? I don't ask this guy. He doesn't know. He's a boatman.
All right, you call Philip again or someone?
Phil. I say, okay. Phil.
Yes,
you said when you saw the bonds, you saw them pre-sealed.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the bonds themselves?
What?
For example, if you had been given hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sheets of blank paper in a seal, could you have known the difference?
I guess not.
No, right? How? Because they were in an opaque plastic. Because they weren't in clear plastic, because plastic hadn't been invented yet.
But why? That doesn't make. Why would why would I be sent off with paper to New York? That's ridiculous.
Because you were. God, his thing still was opened, but you were sent with fake bonds because the real bonds were being sent on a different ship so they could get there early and be sold. They were pre-stolen. What you had were fake bonds, and the theft of your fake bonds was just to get rid of the evidence, or like to pretend that they were stolen now. Your bonds were your fake bonds were stolen, right? To hide the fact that the bonds were on the original ship, on the Gigantic, and they were then tossed out the window, right? Open the window, throw the bonds out, they get destroyed in the ocean. No one actually cares. They were literally worthless pieces of paper. The real bonds have been pre-stolen. So the ones you put in the case were never... In fact, you were in on it. Wait, why am I talking to you? Because you had to be in on it because you unlocked it with your key.
I did no such thing.
No, then you wouldn't have brought up the fact that that was weird. You would have hidden it. And you did bring up the fact that that was weird. You weren't in on it. You were a patsy. Someone else was in on it, but I don't know who did that. Hey, question. Mm-hmm. When you were on the boat, did you find a coughing Scottish man anywhere?
Coughing Scottish man.
No. You know what? You didn't see a coughing Scottish man. The coughing Scottish man, sure, because he left.
I didn't see anyone in my area. I think there was only like one person in the row of cabins near me, and it was like the 1920s favorite word, invalid.
Sure, okay.
Didn't come out of the cabin.
No, because that was Shaw, maybe. Hold on. Shaw left sick. Obviously had snuck somewhere. Would he have left? I know he left like pretty much after doing all this key stuff. He left early in the morning. Would he have left with enough time to get specifically onto the Olympia, or just with enough time to get onto the Gigantic?
The Gigantic probably would not quite have enough time. The Olympia, maybe at a stretch.
Okay, so his job was to get onto your boat with you. He had already been like, I'm going home sick. Turns up, disguises himself as an invalid, gets onto the boat just to do the stealing of the fake bonds, chuck them out the window. When did he get the... I mean, presumably he just has control over the bonds. He just put them onto the Gigantic himself. I think that's got to be it.
Yeah, pretty much. He can have patsies. He keeps talking about how he doesn't trust underlings to handle things. Maybe he does.
Yeah. So he gets the three... So, hold on, everybody. I've solved the crime. I know all the elements here. And the elements are thus. Mr. Shaw wants to steal all this money. He's been an underling of Vavasour for too long. He wants a Scotland-only bank, and he's mad at the British for taking half the money that deserves to all be in Scotland. So he thinks, I'm going to steal $1 million from my own bank. He knows there are bonds. He gets the bonds, he seals them. He then gets fake bonds and seals those as well. By fake bonds, I mean paper. And he puts them in a similar seal. Now no one knows. The original bond package goes with an underling onto the Gigantic, crosses the Atlantic. On the same day, he seals these bonds, these fake bonds, in a portmanteau, gives him to Phil Ridgway. Gets the 3 keys, makes a big show of it. These are the only keys. Locks it all up. He sends Phil onto the Olympia with this trunk full of bonds, fake bonds. He then goes, so sick, better go home sick. Doesn't go home, goes to the docks, gets onto the Olympia before it leaves. He has a cabin next to, or on the same row as Phil's stuff. When Phil goes out to get a drink, he gets into the room, he uses the key, but he's trying to stage it like it's a robbery, so he scratches it to make it look like someone picked a lock. He doesn't realize just how good Hub's locks are. He doesn't realize this is a tell, right? He's not good at stealing. He's trying to be like, oh, someone tried to break in, but actually he just uses the key. It opens, he takes the paper and the bonds, he just chucks them out the window because he doesn't need them anymore. They don't need to exist. Chucks them out the window, goes back to his room, coughing the whole way.
He doesn't have to be coughing the whole way.
No, he doesn't really have bronchitis. He gets into it, gets back to his room. Guy comes back, realizes it was stolen, everyone's searched. Obviously they're not found. They've been jettisoned already.
Mm-hmm.
The ship arrives, and within half an hour, everything's being sold. That was a mistake. I reckon ideally it was meant to be a couple hours after they arrived to give it a sense that they came on this boat as an alibi. But because it was delayed by all this searching and the theft and stuff, it ended up being too close for comfort. A bit too close to make any sense. Because that half hour doesn't make sense. The only question, and then obviously when we went to the safe, he put the key back in. The only question is, Vavasour was there with him.
Sure, could have come in at any time.
You're right,
and
he could
put
come in
that
at
in.
any time and put it back in. It wasn't at that moment. This opens the safe, put it back once he's back home. That's it. We arrest Shaw. Shaw is under arrest. Phil gets a promotion. Vavasour becomes king. And Hastings gets $10,000.
That sounds like a wrap. You did it.
That sounds like a wrap.
Hastings solved one. Poirot is devastated, goes into retirement again.
Perfect. Hastings Investigations.
Congratulations. You did it.
Nice. Oh, that was fun.
Nice little two-parter.
A nice little 2-part mystery. It does almost feel like I could have solved that without going anywhere.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Do you have any idea what the thing I mentioned at the start, that Poirot still in this one has a thing that he says out of nowhere that happens to be a big solver?
Oh, and what is the thing that... You're right, you said there's a question that he asked.
Did you have any idea what that could be?
The question he asked was there a person on your floor, an individual who was too sick?
I mean, yes, pretty much. He goes to the Port Authority, goes to the stewards and says, hey, I have a friend on this boat, an elderly gentleman, glasses, invalid, hardly moved out of his cabin. And they went, oh, yep, checks out. Oh, that's this man who was right next to Philip Ridgway.
Lovely.
Oh.
Did he pick that just because he thought that's a reasonable disguise?
Yes, pretty much.
No one's going to bother you. You don't look
Ridgway
like yourself.
Definitely won't see him.
You can cover yourself up in a fake beard and fake things and blankets and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Wonderful. Well, look, that was a fun little mystery. Fun little solve. No, it almost feels like I didn't need to do any of that investigation. I could have kind of figured that out myself.
It's not impossible.
But I was just getting that timing. Finding out about the other boat was great. And I'm glad that I asked that rather than it was
yeah,
being surprised.
I was really happy about that.
That half-hour thing was weird.
There is another point where Philip Ridgway actually says, and I'm glad I didn't have to put this in because I thought it was too much of a call. He says, there was one broker who even swears he started getting them before the boat landed.
Oh, yeah. That's too much. That's too much, Phil. Come on. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't need that. It was obvious.
Exactly.
Doesn't mention at all the idea that the boat was delayed and that's why.
No, it doesn't.
I think that's
Agreed.
true. I think that's good headcanon.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
That it was delayed a little bit, so it didn't get in its... Because they were just like, they had it on their clock, like, it arrives at 11, so don't start selling till 12:30. But it didn't arrive till 12. And then it was only half an hour. And it's like, that's too quick, man. You failed.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
I thought you did a great job.
It was a great little mystery. Thank you so much for running it for me. It was a nice little 2-parter. I hope that was, that was...
Just keeping you tied over.
Yeah, there should be another one coming soon for a big, proper, real one, which will be another one written by me.
And if our other Mini Christie wasn't already released on this feed many years ago, we'll just put that out as well.
So there's plenty of Solve This Murder, even though this wasn't a murder. Can I quickly shoot Phil?
Oh.
Just shoot him right in the face.
Oh.
And he dies. Great, now there's a murder to solve. It was me. I did it.
We could have turned it into a fake murder. Like, oh no, the man, Mr. Ventnor, who was in the cabin next to him, has vanished.
He was thrown out the window. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Can I just also make a fun fact?
Please make a fun fact.
Mr. Ridgway Not the only Poirot mystery character who is named Ridgway on a boat.
Who's another
Death
boat?
on the Nile. The victim is Lynette Ridgway.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, when this one started, I was really worried that this was the story from the start, from the very first episode of the David Suchet TV Poirots, which we watched. It's the only Poirot
That's in
Suchet
here.
that we've watched.
Like, that's in here somewhere.
But it was just a woman arrives at the office with a car, talking about her husband and a possible crime. There's a big trunk. But that was about a missing maid or missing nanny or missing house worker.
The Adventure of the Clapham Cook.
The Clapham Cook.
Story 20 in
right.
this story in this book.
So it was, but for a second I got worried. I was like, Tanny, don't you remember that we did this one?
I just finished reading it. It's the last one that I read.
Oh, there you are. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being part of the show. If you want to help support the show, the first and best way is to recommend it. Go online, tell friends, mention it in forums, on Reddit, on X, on Blue Sky, wherever you want. Just talk about the show, get people listening, tell friends and family. Word of mouth is the best way to get people to actually listen to shows. You can leave a review anywhere. You can leave a review on whatever you're listening this to. Check where the review option is and write something. Say it's a good show. Don't say it's a bad show. Don't leave that review.
Oh, please. Yeah, no, I'm not very good at that.
And otherwise, if you want to support in a slightly more tangible way, we have a Patreon. The Patreon is for anybody who wants to get more out of everything that we do. Anybody who signs up can appear as an NPC in either a Solve This Murder or an Escape This Podcast episode. There is bonus episodes every week for $5 donors. You can hear us doing a series of 2-minute mysteries, which are kind of closer to this in their level of mystery, but even smaller. We do them. We solve 2 of them in every 20-minute episode of a show. You can hear playtest audio for our Escape Rooms show. For $10 donors, there's monthly vlogs.
We're doing reacts to escape rooms in pop culture, sitcoms and things like that.
Yes, for $20 donors, there's a trivia night every month. And for our $50 donors, there's playtest ability. You can play these mysteries before we do them. So lots of fun stuff there. And it's a great way to support the show. We don't have ads on our shows. It's the way that we make money. And it allows you to support both us and the rest of the audience who listens for free. They are supported by your donations. You allow us to keep making art that is free for everybody. So thank you very much for people who are signed up. And also, hey, we have a merch page now. This is new. There's some Solve This Murder merch. If you want a cup you want a mug that talks about Solve This Murder, you want a shirt to show off with our little logo on it.
Oh, no, we need some slogans.
So if you have any ideas for fun slogans and things that you want to see as future merch, the merch store is now available. So let us know. Send us an email. And instead of a question, query, or theory, be like, oh, you should get Johnny Cool, the police guy, on a shirt.
Yeah, please remind us exactly what you're talking about.
Please give us a lot of context. We forget everything we say as soon as we say it. But we'd love to. So if you have ideas, let us know. Otherwise, check it out. There is a link in the show notes below. You can go and buy some cool mugs and shirts and things. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
How did Shaw and Ridgway get back? I guess they didn't take the Olympia back on its return trip.
They took a plane.
Yeah. The sucker's way of traveling in the 20s.
Way of traveling. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Goodbye. Solve This Murder is created by Bill Sunderland and Dani Siller as part of the Consume This Media network. To find out more about all of our shows, you can head to consumethismedia.com. A special thank you to Jared, Devon, and Whit from the podcast Advanced Sagebrush and Shootouts for creating our theme music. And thanks to all of you for listening.